So for the past 7 months, I've just been eating meat, eggs, and butter, and a couple of other things that are just animal based. And I've been feeling freaking amazing. I don't eat any plants whatsoever. Basically, it's a majority of my diet is just meat. And a lot of people will think that's unhealthy, but it has really changed my life. And so, with this video, I just want to share with you why I basically only eat meat and why you should consider it as well. So, my name is Keegan, and hopefully, this video will help you, or yeah, help and maybe inspire you to at least experiment with the food in your own life because I think it's such a powerful thing that you can change that can really alter how you feel and how you go about your life in general. So let me start off with a story about how I started with this. Is just so about a year ago, I learned about this thing called the carnivore diet, which is basically what I'm doing now. And I was super intrigued about it because, like many people who hear about this thing of like not eating any plants or whatever and only eating meat, like at the beginning, I was so confused. I was like, what? What is this? I remember listening to one of my mentors that I look up to and just hearing him talk about it, how he's tried it and how he's like got super sharp. His brain has gotten super sharp and he feels great and whatnot. And I was like, whoa, this is interesting. And I started looking more into it and I started to learn about all the negative things that come along with plants, like the toxins and just especially like the vegetables and the problems with fruit and whatnot. And the reason why I started to look into it more is because I thought, okay, this guy, because I had listened to this mentor before on, okay, well, maybe I should listen to him and try out this new way of eating. Basically, I was told, like, oh, you should try and increase your fat intake by like eating more eggs and more butter and whatnot. It's kind of like counterintuitive advice because a lot of people still believe that like saturated fat is evil and bad and it's going to cause heart disease, right? But I remember whenever I first started incorporating more stuff like eggs and meat and butter into my diet, whenever I was like 15 years oldish, I started feeling like just so much better, so much more energetic, so much more alive. And I started kind of pulling back the amount of sugar and, like processed stuff and plants that I ate. And I just started feeling like just better in general. At that point in my life, I was still eating um, plants and whatnot, like fruits and vegetables and whatnot, but I was eating a lot cleaner, but I was also eating a lot more fat and protein at that time. And I just felt freaking good. I felt a lot better than I had before. It's just like more mentally clear, more energy. And I remember trying to go back sometimes to eating the junk food, and I just feel awful. And so that kind of solidified me on the path of just eating clean. But again, going back to where I was this time last year, I was starting to learn more about this. And so that's why I was, you know, open to this idea is because, I this dude has helped me before. So I was like, okay, well, let's see what he's talking about. And he cited this one video, and I might put it underneath in the description, but you can just look it up. Um, it's Why We Are Carnivores by Dr. Anthony Chaffee. And he makes this great case, just like biologically, anthropologically, just so many cases as to why we were actually meant to just eat meat and how we can still digest plants, but it's not like perfect, right? And that video, even though I watched it and I wasn't like fully convinced, I watched it, I was like, huh. And it made me question this part of my brain, like, okay, do I actually need to eat plants? can I just survive off of meat? And so I started tinkering with it a little bit more. I started eating more meat, more eggs, and I started cutting out vegetables. And that's the first thing that I cut out plant wise was I started I just got rid of eating broccoli and whatnot because I just wanted to try it out to see how I'd feel. Like I tried it for a week and I started feeling like really good. I stopped getting so much like gas and bloating. And I remember I tried it again. I tried going back to that and I got all this like gas and bloating back again. I was like, what the hell? Have I been always feeling this? And so I just stopped eating that. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just not going to eat vegetables anymore then, at least intentionally. And then we move on later. So we're getting into like December 2023, right? And I have this weird notion in my brain like, oh yeah, I'm going to bulk up. I'm going to get huge and strong and jacked. So I'm hitting the gym a lot, or kind of like 3 times a week. I'm hitting the gym, at least I'm trying to go hard. I'm trying to eat more and build muscle. But I'm also eating a lot of fruit at this time because I've cut out vegetables at this point. So I'm eating like meat and fruit, right? I'm on like the Paul Saladino type diet, right? I'm eating those things and I just don't have a good understanding of how much food I'm actually consuming. And so I just end up eating a lot of sugar, a lot of carbohydrates. I think that I'm, fueling my workouts, but I just end up getting fat because something that I've learned is sugar, whenever it is in your bloodstream, whenever it's like jacked up, whenever you increase your blood sugar, your insulin goes up, right? And insulin is like this fat storage hormone. It affects a lot of other things in your body, which I think is really interesting. But its main thing that it's known for is like storing fat. And it also kind of blocks the satiety signals that you get from either like the stretch receptors in your what do you call it, your stomach. And I'm pretty sure you also get satiety signals from your own like fat cells. But whenever your insulin's up, it blocks that signal. And so whenever you're eating like carbs, basically, you numb out these signals. And so your satiety signals are just fucked. And that's how it was for me. I remember I would cut up this whole pineapple, right? I'm eating basically like 99% clean food at this point. But I cut up this pineapple and I just can't stop myself from eating it. Right? And I get there's some sort of things with, you know, self-discipline and stuff that I probably could have enforced better with that. But I was out of the mindset of like rigorously tracking my calories. I thought I could just eat intuitively and be fine and build muscle still. But that didn't really work out because by the end of that bulk, in like January-ish, maybe February of 2024, which is this year, I was probably at 21% body fat. I gained probably 7 pounds of fat, and I did gain like 3 pounds of muscle, which was cool, but I gained 7 pounds of fat, dude, in like 3 months because I was just overeating fruit constantly. And that's the problem I have with fruit is just like it's like unless you really are locked in on how much you're going to be eating, and you're just kind of like, casually eating it, you can, especially for me who's someone who really enjoys food and has kind of struggled with, indulging in sweet things. Like I don't know what it is about me, but it's hard for me to discipline myself to stop eating at one, right? I'm kind of like an all or nothing guy, at least in the terms of sweets. So it's like if I have one cookie, it's not going to be just one cookie, right? It's going to be freaking like half the box, right? And so I just like for me, it's personally just really hard to manage eating the carbs, right, and the fruit and whatnot. Maybe for other people, it's good, but I've found like I've basically almost always struggled with that. And so I'm actually really glad that I cut out fruit from my life because it's just so easy to overeat for me. And basically, what that left me was meat and spices. And eventually got to the point to where I was like, okay, these spices, cause me some gastric problems. So I'm just gonna try and cut them out too. And so that leaves me basically with like meat, eggs, and butter, right? And that's kind of the story of why I only eat meat, eggs, and butter. It's just this process of removing things from my life that didn't really benefit me. I think in the future I might be able to reincorporate these things and potentially, have them in moderation to, enjoy sweetness or whatever. Because I don't eat like sweet things anymore. Like the sweetest things I have is like semi-processed meat, which honestly probably isn't good because there's like sugar in it still. Like sausage and whatnot. I have that every once in a while. That's like the sweetest thing that I eat now. And I might be missing out a little bit, but honestly, I don't really mind that much because I feel amazing from this. I don't overeat food. I don't feel freaking like fat and lethargic and tired all of the time. I don't have like weird gastric problems. Like the food that I eat gets digested. It doesn't, I don't shit logs that are as painful to pass. Like it was genuinely painful to go to the bathroom at one point. And I get that's a little bit TMI, but it was like genuinely painful. Now it's just like it is what it is. Like it's not it's how it should be in my opinion. And that's really the reason why I only eat meat is just because like it's just like a natural progression of my diet of just cutting out shit that doesn't make me feel good. That doesn't make my life any better. But other reasons why that I only eat meat is a few things that I've learned and just kind of experienced. The first thing is something that I've learned about meats and eggs specifically is that they have everything you need. So I've learned that there's for like human survival, you need enough calories, right? Like you need enough basically energy to survive, right? That's kind of number one. You also need amino acids, which is like protein and stuff. You need fatty acids, which I'm not sure on what they're for, but I'm reckoning that it's for stuff like building your brain, because I'm pretty sure your brain is like 80% fat or something like that. It's a high percentage of your brain is like made up of fat, and that's why foxes will actually had this happen the other day. So we have chickens, and a fox came to our house the other day and just wiped out like 5 chickens over the course of like a few days. And they always tore off their heads. And I had heard this before that the foxes will tear off chickens' heads and just eat them because the chicken brain has a ton of, fat and nutrients in it. And that's why they'll just eat the head because it's quick and it's efficient. It's like eating it's like a power bar or something like that. Like for a fox, it's just like and you just that's kind of gruesome to think about. But there's a lot of like nutrients and stuff that go into our brains, and fat is one of those, and it's high energy density. But yeah, essential fatty acids, amino acids, calories, right? And then you have your essential minerals and vitamins, right? Like vitamin A, C, C, E, K, I don't know the other ones, D. Like there's a lot, right? And then minerals, you got like iron, freaking zinc, boron, those sorts of things. But the thing with meat is that it has everything in the proportions that you need. Because if you think about it, like we are made of flesh, right? Flesh and bone and whatnot. But if you're going to support that, you should probably eat basically the same thing, right? To build that. And so so to build meat, you need to eat meat, if that makes sense, right? Like you need protein if you want to build muscle, right? Like you have worse gains if you don't eat as much protein. Like they've seen if you have a protein deficiency, you can't, build yourself up. If you are lacking in any of the essential vitamins like B12, you literally get like neuronal problems. I forgot what the disease was, but if you have like a vitamin B deficiency, oh, it's veganism. That's what the disease is. I'm just joking, but it's partially true. If you're a vegan, where's your B12 coming from, bro? Where is it? Like if you're eating only plant stuff, you're eating some freaking Beyond Burger. Where's your B12 coming from, dog? Where is it coming from? Is it coming from that toxic sewage that's that's also part cyanide, dude? Like, it's funny. I listened to a podcast the other day about, I think it was Gary Brecka, but that's besides the point. But he mentioned this thing that I went and looked at myself, and so there's multiple forms of like B12 that we can consume, and what they add to a lot of the like B12 supplements or whatever, or what they add to a lot of the B12 stuff is this thing called, I think it's called cyanocobalamin, but basically that's a cyanide molecule combined with a cobalt molecule that's like the B12 part. It's cyanide, bro. Like, what? That's nuts. Um, but yeah, that's kind of a side tangent. But like, meat has everything you need, right? It has all the nutrients, it has all the vitamins, it has everything you need. And people will say like, oh, but what about vitamin C? Something I learned is whenever you eat carbohydrates, they actually compete for a spot in your stomach or in your digestive tract with, like, carbohydrates will compete with vitamin C that you get with, I mean, anything, but with like meat especially, right? There's a little bit in meat that can sustain you, but if you're eating carbohydrates, your need for vitamins actually goes up because it's competing in your digestive tract for the space to get in. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting whenever I learned that. But yeah, meat has everything you need. Eggs are also good because, I mean, if you think about it, an egg, what is an egg? It's like a baby, or a not. It's like an embryo, right? Is everything you need to grow like animal life, right? Like it literally grows a chicken out of it, right? If it's fertilized, but if it's not fertilized, then it's just kind of like, it's just like a ball of nutrients that you can hard boil and pop in your mouth, right? But yeah, the next thing is, yeah, I kind of mentioned this before, but I feel way better on just meat. I said this before. It's just like, life is better whenever I'm not brain foggy, I'm not lethargic, tired, fat, etc., etc. Life is better. My athletic performance is basically the same. Like, I kind of split tested this. My athletic performance is the same, if not better. I can run basically forever because I'm not worrying about like the carb dips and spikes. I don't really have to worry about that. My blood sugar, I haven't really tested it, but I reckon it's just like flat, maybe a little bit up and down with, eating food and working out. I reckon it probably goes up and down a little bit, but it probably stays just about the same. I'm not eating like a crap ton of carbs whenever I'm going for a workout and getting into freaking diabetic ranges, which I think is absurd. Some people will say that you need to eat carbs to perform, but the thing is like this, like the science says that you need to have X amount of carbs per hour if you want to perform at your best, right? Like freaking like 90 carbs per hour or something like that. But the thing with that is like it puts you into a freaking diabetic range to where there's a toxic amount of blood sugar in your system. That's stupid, bro. Like that's so retarded. Like to think that, oh, I need to become a freaking diabetic for a couple of hours in order to perform my best. The heck is wrong with you? Like, this is the stupidest logic ever. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Oh, I need to sacrifice. Like, no. That's so, like, counterintuitive and stupid. Yes, I need to sabotage my body for it to perform well. That doesn't make any sense. Like, if you were a healthier human being, you're probably going to perform better in life and just feel better in general. It's just like it just doesn't make any sense to me why people need to freaking chug down like these like sports like sugar drinks or like these gels. Like, dude, just like, do you think cavemen were doing that? Like, do you think cavemen, whenever they're chasing down freaking like buffalo back in the day or mammoths, do you think they had to stop and grab some like freaking potato out of the ground to get their carbs in? Do you think they had to stop and like mash up some fruit so they had a gel? No, they just freaking ran after it, bro. And that's all they ate because that's all they needed. I'm fired up about this, dude. um, Another thing with my sports performance is I have a clearer mind because I don't have brain fog, like I said. And so I think a clearer mind will make me have just better decision making. So whatever sport that I do end up pursuing, whether that's track or like some martial arts, I think if you're a smarter, more intelligent person, right, you're able to make better decisions because your mind is clear, because you're not fogging it up with some BS inflammation. You're probably going to perform better. At least I've found that I make better decisions. I'm a clearer thinker whenever I'm on this diet. And the final point as to why I only eat meat is I just rather not poison myself. So something I've learned, like I said, is like these plants have toxins in them, right? Like the vegetables have toxins in them. Even fruits have toxins in them, especially if they're picked not ripe. I think if you ripen them on the vine, they will pull some of the toxins out, but not all of them, right? And so there's still toxins in fruit. There's still toxins in these things that want you to eat them, right? It's like cope, dude. It's freaking cope. But I don't know. I just rather not poison myself. There's a reason why the plants are spicy, right? And if you like the flavors, okay, cool. But there's a reason why they're spicy. There's a reason why your brain and your tongue is telling you this thing is bitter, this thing is spicy. It's because this thing doesn't want you to eat it. It's because it's toxic in some fashion, whether that be deadly or not. Okay. But is any amount of toxin really beneficial? Is it? Like, if you think about, like, you can build up tolerances to these things. I was saying this in the other video I was recording, but you can build up a tolerance to these, right? Like, people build up spice tolerances. People build up, I mean, even like sweetness tolerances, like sugar tolerances to an extent, right? But you can also build up alcohol tolerance. But I think it's pretty common knowledge that alcohol is just fucking poison, right? Like it is literally poison that you ingest to get intoxicated in order to have some weird like feeling in your brain and your body, to be sedated, right? Ridiculous. But you can build up a tolerance to toxins, okay? That's because humans are hella resilient, right? Our biology is freaking amazing. But I just don't think that's a smart way of going about life. You know, like, why should I spend my energy building up some tolerance when I could just not eat a toxin and have to build up any tolerance to it? Like, this is stupid. Why would you have any toxins? That's like, yeah, like, you can tolerate a certain amount of lead poisoning, but should you poison yourself with lead? No, like, there's, yeah, it's just common sense, dude. Like, if you just use your brain for a little bit, just don't poison yourself. Just like, you don't even have to build up the tolerance. But yeah, that's the way I see it, right? Like, if you still want to eat plants, by all means. If you think meat is like toxic for you, okay, I'm not for you, right? Like, this channel isn't for you. I'm surprised you've made it this far. But like, yeah, it's just, that's why I only eat meat, basically. Basically. There's a, yeah, those are the kind of the summed up reasons why. Just, I feel a lot better. It's all I need to eat. I don't want to poison myself. It's pretty simple reasons, but it's just whenever you think about it a little bit more, it's just kind of common sense. Like, okay, well, we should just eat meat. Like, there's really no reason to eat anything else. And I get it if you want to have something else. Like, I'm not trying to indoctrinate you. I'm just explaining why I eat it, and just kind of like just yapping to the universe. Um, if you want to eat plants, if you want to eat vegetables, that's fine, right? Like, I don't really care. I just wanted to explain why I do it myself, and maybe this will open your eyes to something. To maybe it'll inspire you to try it for yourself and just to see how you feel. Like, that's what I want to encourage with this video, is just to encourage you to see how you feel and just try out not just eating like meat for, heck, try it for like 2 weeks, because I think that's where you get the majority of the benefit from, is like after 2 weeks your energy starts to stabilize because you're getting out of like the carb crashes and cravings. That's whenever you start to feel really, really good. So I just encourage you to try it for like 2 weeks. I don't think it will kill you to just eat meat for 2 weeks, right? Like, yeah, it'll be kind of weird, especially if you're not used to it. But I think it's worth it if you can experience all the benefits. Like, there's so many testimonials out there of people who've tried this sort of diet and they've absolutely changed their life. And I think that, like, this is why I'm talking about it. It's because it has changed my life for the better. And I think that if I can inspire other people to try it out, then that's a worthy thing to talk about. So yeah, that's really why that's why I made this video. That's why I only eat meat. It's 'cause it's fucking changed my life, dude. But yeah, if you like this video, you should go subscribe. If you and do all the other YouTube stuff as well, because that would be nice as well. Yeah, with that, that's all I got for you. Yeah, if you like this video, like I said, you should go subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, and I will see you in the next one. Try it out, be better, and have a W day.